Hello and welcome to this chat view with Stephen Brooks and the English Sisters.
Hello Stephen, it's a great pleasure to have you here today, and we're really excited because we know you're doing a practitioner training in London very soon. So would you just like to tell us when this will be?
This is very soon, actually it's in March, from the Saturday the 9th to Sunday the 17th of March. I've deliberately set it up so there are 9 consecutive days so people don't have to take any time off work either side. So really, if people want to do like an intensive fast track training, they can do it all within that particular 9 days, and it includes the 2 weekends either side. So it's more practical for people, you know, who don't want to give up time off work, and people can travel in from abroad as well. It's convenient for that reason.
And where will the course be held, Stephen? Where is it? Where's the location?
I'm teaching at Birkbeck College, the University of London, which is slap bang in the middle of London, so it's very central. It's the nearest tube is Russell Square, so it's close for King's Cross. It's a very convenient location. It's the first time I've actually taught in the centre of London. I normally use Roehampton University, but I thought it would be nice for people to go out in the evenings, you know, if they're coming in and staying over. They can come in the evenings. Central is a better location.
And what will the people be learning then? Let's talk about that, because that's really what everybody's interested, I think.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, a lot of training courses nowadays teach hypnosis, and not so many actually teach hypnotherapy. Maybe because there's a lot of people who just have a general interest in hypnosis but don't want to become therapists. Well, fine, if that's their interest, they go on and just do that. I'm much more interested in training people to be professionals, actual therapists, and of course because I specialize in Ericksonian hypnotherapy, the emphasis will be on practical hypnotherapy skills as Erickson used to do it.
Wow, so you'll actually be teaching Erickson's techniques?
Yeah, his techniques and skills with an emphasis on actual practice. Obviously there are principles, theories behind Erickson's work, but the most important thing, if you're doing a fast track training, is that people kind of get their hands dirty. They get to actually use the skills and have the experience of doing it, and then know that they are competent enough to go out there in the world and use those skills. So it's very much a practical training.
Wow. And how long have you been an Ericksonian therapist then, Stephen?
Well, I've been doing this for 30 years as a teacher. Sorry, as a therapist. And in fact, I was one of the very first Ericksonian therapists in Europe, but I've been teaching it for about 25 years, from 85, 86 onwards. At that time, in fact, there was no Ericksonian hypnotherapy training available in Europe, and I was the first person to teach it in Europe, starting at St George's Hospital in Tooting, which is where I began. And it was the very first Ericksonian course in Europe, and the rest is history. We've been going on from strength to strength since then.
Wow. Brilliant. And we know that from some of the emails we've received that you may be the last time you'll be doing this course in London, because you're going to be doing them in Thailand from now on. Is that right? Yeah,
I've been teaching the practitioner, if you think of it as a vocational qualification, pretty much, as I say, for 25 years. And it's a job, you know, and after a while you want to teach at a higher level, and I do teach master classes, and that's what really thrills me most of all, of course, is actually teaching therapists at a higher level. So BHR will be running the same practitioner in the UK as from September, with a team of trainers, all of who are doctors actually, who I've trained, and I will just specialise then in master classes. I thought I would do this one last training in London, in the UK, as a fast track this March, so that people could have that opportunity of spending a little time with me. But after that, it's going to be master classes, very specialised courses, working actually with patients and doing something that I call something quite new and innovative, called earbud mentoring, which you probably never heard of. Basically what it is, I sit in a room with a bunch of guys, and there's a trainee on the course in another room with an actual client with an earbud and a video camera. And what that trainee does is basically repeat everything that I tell him or her via the earbud. I have a microphone, obviously, in the other room while we watch. And so I'm doing the therapy with the real client or patient, but the therapist is learning by just repeating everything I'm saying, and is having to then interact with the client in accordance with what I'm saying. So they're kind of learning how I work, or shall I say how Erickson works in my way, from the inside out. So that's an example of the kind of work I want to specialize in for people who are much more serious about training and working professionally.
Wow, that's very innovative.
That's very exciting.
Yes, I've done it once. I only done it once, and it's such an incredible way to teach people. Because if you imagine you're a therapist listening to somebody inside your head, a voice inside your head, telling you what to do, you can't stay out of trance. You know, you're going to be in hypnosis anyway, yourself as a therapist.
Absolutely.
Trying to cope with this strange context. And so you learn everything unconsciously by doing it. Of course, afterwards, you know, the therapist comes into the room and we sit down and we break down the video and play it back and describe why I said do this or do that and how. And of course, you actually have a real live therapy session with a real patient. So it's very personal and it's a focus on each individual student. I can't do that if you've got like a room with 20, 30 people in it. I can only work that way if I have like maximum of 6 people. And that's what I really want to commit myself to is helping people really get the best out of themselves. So that's my work beyond this practitioner.
Beyond this practitioner,
we know the practitioner is very hands-on as well. So the people attending are going to be getting a lot of hands-on experience, and also will have time to discuss things with you personally. Is that right?
It is very hands-on. I mean, I have to be honest. It's quite a challenge. Although you know, I take on novices as well. The most rewarding thing for me is, you know, one of my outcomes, of many from the practitioner, is that people who come in as novices, by the end of those 9 days, not only can they hypnotize someone, but they actually can do hypnotherapy. Yeah. And not only do hypnotherapy with one client, but they can do hypnotherapy with 2 clients simultaneously, which sometimes you have to do if you're working with a couple or with a family. And when I say that to people, they go, no way, I'll never be able to do that. And it's just so rewarding when you see, you know, your students at the end of the course are just so thrilled at what they've been able to do.
Brilliant.
And they just can't believe that they've managed to achieve that over 9 days.
Wow.
But I do push people very hard. But that's the whole idea. It's a vocational qualification. Yeah. And most people who graduate go in, either if they're novices, they go into practice within a few weeks because they really feel that, you know, they have the confidence and competence to do it. We also have a percentage of people who, of course, are practitioners already and they're already working. Some of them, you know, very experienced. Of course, what they're coming for is to really learn in depth the Ericksonian approach, which is very specialized, of course. You know, people who come to learn Ericksonian hypnosis are either because they've read about Erickson, they want some of it, or they are not happy with the skills they've got as basic, you know, direct therapists. So I have both kinds of students on the course.
Brilliant. Is this a diploma course? Will they be getting a diploma at the end of it? Yeah. Oh,
yes, it's a diploma. It's a vocational qualification, a diploma to practice. And as you probably know, I mean, because the course has been running so long, it's been evolving, of course, because Erickson was around in the 50s and 40s, and we've had to take his skills and repackage them for the 21st century so they're relevant today. But the actual diploma has been evolving as well. The actual training and the lessons and the exercise have been evolving. And so it's a very modern, up-to-date course with a diploma for people to practice. So the qualification is very respected, as you know.
Yes.
And I mean, I've trained many of the most important people in the hypnotherapy community on this course. You know, there's probably a dozen or so top names in the field of therapy that practice now, or authors of books on hypnosis that have actually come through this course.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Can we ask just one last question? Who have you trained with in the past, Stephen?
In the recent past?
Well,
long-term past?
In the long term,
all my early days, you know, when I first started training, and you know, Erickson training was not available; it just did not exist. I had to create it right at the very beginning. In the UK, they just didn't exist. Right. So my first ever hypnosis training was with an organisation who are still managing to hang on. It was an awful training. I can't tell you the name, of course, but it was appalling. And the very last day, I said, "Have you heard of Erickson?" Nobody's heard of him, and they told me to talk about it. So I ended up taking the whole entire afternoon, the last day of the course, to teach Erickson. And I thought, this is interesting. Maybe I could enjoy doing this a bit more often. And then I went on to train with most of the young Ericksonians, the psychologists, mainly psychologists, who worked with Erickson directly at his home in Phoenix, in Arizona, back in the 70s. So like people like Ernest Rossi, Sidney Rose, and of course these ended up teaching for British Hypnosis Research on our courses as well. Michael Yapko, David Kaloff, David Gordon, basically all of those, Virginia Satir, all of these early therapists who were being innovative and taking Erickson's work and putting it out there in the world and making a difference. 10 years ahead of the UK, of course. They were doing it all in the States. My training came through working with them. Plus, of course, the most important training of all was directly with my own clients. Yeah. They were all my guinea pigs. You know, when I used to get a paper from Erickson, and it would say that he'd done, it was a paper that hadn't been published at the time, now published in the collected papers of Erickson. I'd get a paper from him, and he would say, well, you know, how to do a negative hallucination, get someone to disappear. So your hypnotic subject would have a negative hallucination. I just think, okay, yeah, you can do it. I can. So every one of my clients that week would get a negative hallucination, and that's how I learned. You know, so most of the training comes from actually doing. You know, which is why, you know, the practitioner, the fast track practitioner, is so important. Yeah. You can't. It's impossible to really learn Ericksonian hypnosis, especially hypnotherapy, unless you do it. You've got to do it. Yeah. You can't learn it from a book, just purely from a book. You can't learn it from just watching other people. You have to get your hands dirty, and that's what it's about. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, that one of the most important aspects of learning is seeing someone, it's like the old apprentice system, seeing someone do it, like a carpenter making a cabinet. In this case, it's me doing therapy, you know, with a real problem, using Ericksonian techniques, and then you say, right, okay, now go away, and don't duplicate that, but you can replicate it. You know, take the best of it, the basic structure, and make it your own. And now you do it with a real person. Wow. You know, and if you fail, great. You know, this is a great place to fail on a training course. Yeah. You know, because then you're learning by stretching yourself all the time. So it's very much a hands-on training. And I will be a bit sad to let it go and hand it over to the group of doctors I have lined up. They're all incredibly competent and very respected in the hypnotherapy community. And they've all been trained by me, so that they know the stuff very, very well. But it has to happen. I've been doing it a bit too long. So
you have to move on and experience new things as well. Yeah.
I'm not retiring. I'm not resting.
No. You're moving on. Yeah.
I've chosen in the future to do my master classes in Thailand because it's going to be very small and very informal. It's a great place to relax and have a holiday. And I live in Thailand, and my family is here. Yeah. And so it would be nice not to travel so much. Absolutely. Because I do a lot of traveling. And so there's a good side to that, you know, as well.
Well, what can we say? For all of those of you who are thinking about attending, this is like your last chance to attend. So we suggest that you take this opportunity because it is going to be a very, very, very valid one for your life. It's life-changing, I'm sure.
Life-changing.
Life-changing. Well,
it's been a pleasure talking to you, Stephen Brooks. Thank you very much.
Thank
you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye.